Hey everybody, it's low carb and keto nutrition specialist Amy Berger from 2itnutrition.com, bringing you another video and doing keto without the crazy. Before I get into business today, in case anyone's new to my channel, I want to introduce you to my book, The Stall Slayer. If you happen to buy a paperback copy, it's available on Amazon. Your copy will not have this gray line across. This was my proof copy that I had to order to make sure it was okay before we released it for sale to the world. So if you buy the paperback of The Stall Slayer, you will just have a pretty book minus this big gray strip. So you can go to stallslayer.com to find out more information, or there's a link below. As always, it is about breaking fat loss stalls on ketogenic or low carb diets, which is the #1 reason people come to me for help. Amy, why am I not losing weight? What am I doing wrong? So if you are having trouble losing fat on a keto diet, this, I think, will be a good resource for you. Even if you're not having trouble losing fat on a ketogenic diet, if you just want to be reminded of the basics as to why and how lower carb and ketogenic diets work, then I think this is also a really good refresher, and it's a really good simple guide, just kind of cutting through a lot of the myths and all the insane overcomplication and craziness that I see out there. Keto without the crazy. Keto with the Stall Slayer. Second order of business, I'm recording on August 22nd, 2020. I'm not sure when I'm going to publish this video, but I'm speaking at 2 virtual keto conferences happening either very, very soon or might even already be happening now. There's links to both of them below. The first is Low Carb USA's virtual San Diego. They were supposed to have a big conference in San Diego this week. Obviously, all these fun conferences are canceled, but the good news is they've gone virtual. So you can still see all the speakers. There's even live Q&As where you can interact. So it's almost better to have it virtual, because guess what? You don't have to pay for a plane ticket. You don't have to pay for lodging. You don't have to pay to rent a car or get Ubers and pay to have meals away. All this stuff, you just have to buy the ticket. And ticket prices are much, much cheaper than normal, because the people organizing these events don't have to recoup money from renting a banquet hall or a conference center or something. That's normally the hugest expense of the whole thing, is just renting the venue. Anyway, check that out. I'm also going to be in Maria Emmerich and Craig Emmerich's Keto Adapted Virtual Summit. I think that starts September 1st. Do check out. The links are all below. And at both events, I'm giving a talk on ketogenic therapies for neurodegenerative and neurological disorders. So if you are brand new to my channel and you have no idea who I am, I wrote a book called The Alzheimer's Antidote. You can find that on Amazon, and there's a handy link. It's about using ketogenic or low carb diets as a nutritional intervention for Alzheimer's disease and other forms of cognitive decline. And that book came out in 2017. And in the years since then, I've learned some really, really interesting and intriguing things about overlaps between Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, possibly ALS, Huntington's, and traumatic brain injury, and other issues that all suggest that keto is worth looking into. Not that it's a cure, it's not that it's a magical slam dunk that works for everybody, but there's a very, very solid biochemical and physiological rationale as to why keto may be worth trying for anyone living with one of those neurodegenerative conditions. All right, moving on, because we're coming up on 4 minutes. Anyway, links are below to everything you could need. What if you can't stick to keto? What if you're online and everyone else is getting results and you stick to it for a day, and then on day 2 for breakfast you have pancakes? Or what if, my apologies, I'm recording this in my apartment and there's a very loud motorcycle starting up outside. The video is not picking it up, but maybe it is. Anyway, what if you can't stick to keto? What if you don't even make it through one day? What if you don't even make it through the first week? What if you can't even make it past 10 days? What if you can't even make it a whole month? What if? Now, I'm not really here to talk about why you can't stick to it. That's for you to decide, and you probably already know why, and maybe I'll talk about that in a little bit. But for now, what if you just can't you just can't do it. You try, you know keto would be a slam dunk for you. You know maybe you are carrying a lot of excess fat. Maybe you have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes or PCOS or hypertension or non-alcoholic fatty liver. Any of these things that we know keto is really, really good for. And of course, I'm not a physician. None of this is medical advice. But what if you know that keto would really, really be helpful for you, and for whatever reasons are going on, you have not been able to stay with it for any substantial length of time? Well, okay. So what? Try again. That's the advice. Try to get back on the horse. You know, I may have mentioned in previous videos that I play the clarinet and saxophone, and I've played them since grade school. I've played them a long time. And when a musician is presented with a new piece of music, you know, they sight read it, they kind of try to play through it once just to see what it involves, and they're going to hit some snags. There's always going to be a measure or two, a passage or two that's really hard. And you have to like break it down note by note, bar by bar, and you take it really slowly. And you play it note by excruciating note, and you play it and you mess it up. And would a musician just say, well, this is too hard, I guess I'm just not going to learn how to play this ever. I guess I'll just give up and never try again. The first time, I didn't play it right the first time, I'm done, forget it, I quit, close the book, we're putting this clarinet in the garbage. Of course not. You know, if for anyone out there that's a parent, let's say when your child learned to walk, this is the example they use all the time with things like this for not giving up. Your child, you know, trying to walk, boom, they fall down. You don't shake that child. You're such a failure. You'll never be good at walking. Why don't you just crawl for the rest of your life? Why don't you just forget it? You'll never be good at walking. No. You're like, oh my God, you're trying to walk. That's awesome. Look how great you did. You pulled yourself up and then you fell down. That's awesome. You pulled yourself up. You know, and the next time they fall down, oh my God, you're trying again. You're doing so great. You know, and the child does what? Because the little babies don't know any better. They get up, they fall. They get up again, they fall again. They keep doing this until, guess what? One day they stand. You know, they try to walk, they fall. They try to walk, they fall. One day they walk. They don't just think to their little baby minds, well, I guess I'm a giant failure. I guess everyone else can walk except me, so I'm just going to sit my whole life. I'm just going to crawl. No. You know, and as parents, well, I'm not a parent, but parents in general are so encouraging of any little milestone, right? Even before the first word, when the child just starts to blah, 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 just babbling, just experimenting with their own mouth and their own tongue, like experimenting, making sounds. You celebrate that because it's a huge deal. So, with regard to keto, think about playing that music. I played it, it was awful. I played it again, it was still awful. I play it many times and it's awful every time until it starts getting better. Until, hey, I think I'm getting the hang of this. Hey, I'm still playing it really, really slowly, but at least now I'm getting the notes. And I'm getting the dynamics. That's musical jargon for loud or soft, or, you know, other changes in speed, different things like that. Okay. I'm still playing it like half the speed it's supposed to be, but I'm getting there. And each time I play it again and again, it gets better until you've just mastered it. Until, you know, when a musician has mastered a piece of music, they've either memorized it, they don't even need to look at the music at all, or they're reading it, but it's so ingrained, it's so second nature that their hands just fly to the right keys. They just do the right thing. They're not thinking about it the way they were when they had to go note by excruciating slow note. So how on earth does this relate to keto? I didn't stick with keto the first time. You think I tried the Atkins diet when I was in college and I just never looked back? I just was keto from then on out? No. And I did do a video on the great Dr. Atkins and the amazing, awesome Atkins diet. I'll put a link below. I know that the Atkins diet has gotten kind of a bad reputation in the keto world the last few years. That is total unfortunate nonsense, because Dr. Robert Atkins was brilliant, and anyone having any modicum of success on a ketogenic diet right now really owes a huge debt of gratitude to him. But that is another topic. If you can't stick to keto, I do have a couple of pieces of advice. The first is, don't beat yourself up. It's hard. Keto is hard, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. What do I say? I say keto's simple. I've never said it's easy. I say that it's simple because all you have to do is not eat carbs. All you have to do is eat very, very little carbohydrate. And so that's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. If you are addicted to sugar, if you're addicted to floury, starchy products, if whatever, we all have we all have stuff going on in our lives. And so for some people, keto is simple and easy. For some people, they do it, they love it, it's not difficult at all. They embraced it from minute one and it's their life. If that's not you, okay, that's okay. If it's hard, it is hard for some people, and it's okay to say that it's hard. It's okay to say, you know what? It is really hard because I really love fruit, and I really love my breakfast cereal, and I really love bagels and pastries. It doesn't make you a bad person to admit that. And of course, that there may be many other reasons why it's hard for people to stick to keto. It's not always just about the food, right? But my advice is to just keep trying. Don't give up on yourself. You know, like that musician, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail. Then it's going to start getting better. You're going to start making progress. Maybe you'll go 4 days before you touch that blueberry muffin. Maybe you'll go a week. Maybe you'll go 10 days. Maybe you'll, I don't even know what. That's one way to do it. Just keep trying. And every time you fall down, every time you stumble on that passage of music, every time you eat a carb, don't beat yourself up. Just say, okay, what am I going to do differently next time? Assess the situation. Did something specific happen that made me reach for that food? Why did I get away from keto this time? Was a craving too strong? Is there something I can do instead? Was I not prepared? Was I in a social situation, or I was on the road and I either didn't bring something with me to eat, or I didn't know what I could get if I run into the gas station convenience store? I forgot that they have hard-boiled eggs and nuts and string cheese and beef jerky and things that are perfectly suitable for keto. Whatever it is, figure out why it was hard that day or that moment and plan for the next time. Plan so that same thing doesn't happen. And maybe you'll face a different roadblock, but you'll have at least conquered the one roadblock. Now there's another one to work on. Now, in terms of really, let's see, strategies that can make it easier to get to this point. I've had people that were in this situation, and my advice usually is, well, it's one of two ways. You either rip that Band-Aid off and do it and commit to doing it, or, and with that, I would say do something like Dr. Westman's page 4, or do something like a strict Atkins induction, or like a bacon and eggs diet, or a steak and eggs diet, or a chicken and eggs diet, whatever. Eat like nothing but fatty proteins, fatty meats for like 2 or 3 days. Rip the Band-Aid off hard. It's going to suck. It's going to be painful for a day or two. Then that switch will be flipped, not flip will be switched. The switch will be flipped, and you'll be amazed at how the cravings go away and how your hunger all of a sudden is ratcheted down, and it just isn't, you're not ravenous all the time. That's one way to go. The way to go that I think is probably more realistic and more effective and practical, if you are the type of person that has had a lot of trouble doing keto or sticking with it, is to do it gradually. Nobody says that you have to go from your current high carb diet into super strict keto in one day. That's the fastest way to do it. I think that's the most painless way. But if that hasn't worked for you, if that's just too big a shock, it's too abrupt a change, then I recommend doing it gradually. And what I mean by that is, okay, here's your normal diet. You're just eating whatever. Let's take it 1 week at a time. The first week, no fruit. Let's say fruit is a big part of your diet. No fruit. You can still have your pasta, your beans, your rice, your potatoes, your corn, your chips, your pita, whatever. Just no fruit. The next week, take away something else. So now we've mastered no fruit. Now let's do no corn. So let's say corn's a big part of that. No corn on the cob, no tortilla chips, no corn wraps, no whatever else might be made of corn in your diet. Cereal, if you eat breakfast cereal that's made from corn, none of that. Third week, or you could even do these 2 weeks at a time, do it even more gradually. The next time, okay, no beans, if beans happen to be a big part of your diet. No beans, no refried beans, no hummus, no bean chips, no anything made out of beans. Next week, oats, no oat cereal, no granola bars, whatever it is. You do it little by little by little. Eventually, you get to the point where your diet is completely absent of all this stuff. But you did it gradually, and it was very easy. I used the word, maybe I shouldn't use the word easy, but for you, maybe you eased into it. Instead of ripping that Band-Aid off, you just very slowly, and your body had time to adjust, and you had time to get used to maybe cooking differently, food shopping differently, thinking differently about food, and it wasn't such a dramatic shift. And maybe that's, I shouldn't use the word easy, I'll say gentle. It's a much more gentle way of making a ketogenic diet the way you eat. Or even low carb, whatever level you want to get to. Maybe you don't want to be full keto, but maybe you want to get to a point where you're not eating any grain. So you would have like no wheat, corn, oats, barley, rye, millet, whatever, but you still want to do fruit, potatoes, something like Mark Sisson's primal diet, more of a paleo style diet. Whatever thing you want to do, there's no law that says you have to do it overnight the next day. So don't beat yourself up if you haven't been able to stick to keto. I think there are a lot of reasons why. I do think each time you should kind of assess, what was it that happened? Was I really stressed out and I just wanted a damn donut? Okay. Because even then, let's say you have been doing keto for 6 days, and on that 7th day, something happened, and you ate the granola bar, or you ate the candy bar, you ate the piece of bread. Okay. Remember how we were talking earlier about the little kids? They walk, boom, they fall down. When you're that child's parent, you don't say, oh, you walked 2 steps, but then you fell down, you worthless junk, you worthless garbage, you'll never amount to anything. No, you're like so excited and say, oh my God, you took 2 steps, ah! Do that with yourself. Oh my goodness, I made it 6 whole days. I made it 6 days eating really differently than I used to eat. And on the 7th day, I had one thing that wasn't on plan. I'm doing really great. Wow. Celebrate that, just reframe, change that mindset about it all. And don't do that self-sabotage thing. That's probably what is the biggest roadblock here, is that let's say you do make it 3 days or 5 days, a month, whatever it is, 1 day, 2 days, and then you have the thing, whatever the thing is, a bag of chips, a donut, a cookie, whatever. So what? You've had one thing. Don't let that one thing become the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the month, the rest of the year, right? Dr. Westman, he's, I steal from his stuff because he just has these cute little phrases. He says, on a holiday, even with his patients, the patients, he'll say, all right, Christmas is coming up, have whatever you want on Christmas, but don't let a holiday become a holiday or a holiday month. So don't let that one little blip on your otherwise keto radar become this huge thing that spirals out of control. You have one thing. You will be back to fat burning as soon as your body runs through those carbs. Like, it's not, you don't undo several months or weeks, or I would say even days. You don't undo several days of steady progress with one little slip. What you really have to be careful to avoid is, again, letting that one slip become a slide and a fall and a kerflooey, I don't even know the word for it, just a face plant right into the ground. Just stop beating yourself up. Do the best you can, and every time it's less than your best, recover and do your best again. And oh, I slip, get back up and do it again. Isn't there like a Chinese proverb or an Asian proverb or something, fall 8 times, get up 9, fall 10 times, get up 11 times, whatever. Every time you just get back up again, and it's okay. You're not a bad person, you're not a failure. How many other things in life have we all started and we sucked at? And we had to fail a few times before we finally got driving. Anyone that has a driver's license, did you master driving the first time you sat behind the wheel? Probably not. And then the other issue here is maybe keto's not for you. Maybe you're having such a hard time with keto because it's not a good approach for you. I personally believe and know and think, based on what I've seen in the medical literature, everybody can do a low carb or ketogenic diet. Not everyone needs to. Not everyone has to. So you might be in a particular situation, a particular stage in life, a particular activity level where keto really isn't the greatest thing. And that's not to say that if you're not doing keto, you should be eating 500 grams of carbs a day, maybe 100, maybe 150. That could be a whole other, in fact, that will be a whole other video. I'm probably going to do multiple videos on that because I actually have a book coming out later this year. It's called End Your Carb Confusion. I'm just going to drop little hints before then. You can actually pre-order it on Amazon right now, End Your Carb Confusion. There's no image yet because we're still working on the front cover. We don't have a cover for the book yet, so there's no image, but the page is there. And it's being co-written with Dr. Westman, that's why I quote him so much. I mean, we're writing a book together. And that book is about how to find your sort of ideal individualized level of carb intake. Here's who needs keto. Here's who could do kind of middle of the road low carb. Here's who can be much more liberal. How to go from one level to the next if it's appropriate for you. So, think about that too. I see this all the time in the keto world, and I'm seeing it more and more now. People are taking advice that's not meant for them. They're trying to apply dietary and nutritional guidance that is specific to a certain population when it's not specific to them, and they're having poor outcome and they don't know why. And it's because they're trying to do something that's not appropriate for them. So, for example, let's say you are a young, very active, lean, fit person. You've never had diabetes. You don't have a family history of type 2 diabetes. There's not a molecule about you that speaks to any illness. You don't need a ketogenic diet. You could do a ketogenic diet if you want to, but you don't have to. And doing one, especially a very, very strict one, we're talking like 20 to 30 to 40 grams of carbs a day or fewer, might actually not work out so great for you. Not that it would be harmful, but you would feel better. You might perform better athletically on slightly more carbs. So that's, who are you and what are you trying to achieve? And that's a Rob Wolfism. See, I don't say anything smart myself. I just copy from other people, but I never plagiarize. I always tell, oh, this is from Dr. Westman, this is from Rob Wolf, this is from Dr. Sivas, whatever. So Rob Wolf, he had an older podcast. It was the Paleo Solution podcast, and it used to be just a Q&A format. And anytime people would ask him, I'm doing X and I'm getting Y result and it's bad and what's going on, his question to people was always, or his framing of the situation of giving anyone advice was always, who are you and what are you looking to do? What is your situation and what are you trying to accomplish? Because that's what determines things that you need to do, whether it's a ketogenic diet or not, whether it's heavy lifting or not, whether it's cardio or not, whether it's more sleep or not, whatever the thing is in your life. What are you trying to do? And is what you're doing now going to get you there? Or is there something else that's better suited from your starting place? And it's oddly enough, that's exactly what End Your Carb Confusion is about. Where are you starting from and where do you want to go? Because that's going to determine the carb level that you start with. Anyway, I don't want to harp on that too much because if you're watching my channel, you probably do need keto or you probably love it, you enjoy it, it's the way you want to eat. The question is, why is it so hard for you to stick to it? And so, like I said, maybe I'll do a whole separate video some other day on strategies to like not just the gradual, but the roadblocks that typically get in the way when people are trying to stick to keto and what to do about them. I could probably do a video on that. But really my advice is to just do it gradually if you have to, and just do not beat yourself up. Celebrate every victory. Again, if you made it a day or 2 days on keto and then you face planted into a cupcake, guess what? You made it a day. You made it 2 days. Maybe that's the first day in your life that you didn't eat starch. Maybe it's the first 2 days you've been able to string together where you didn't eat any sugar. Oh my goodness, congratulations. That's a huge deal. For somebody like me, I ate a bowl of cereal the size of my head like every day when I was a kid. When I was in high school, I'm from New York, I'm a Jew. You think I didn't live on bagels every single morning of my high school career and most of college, a ginormous bagel? So now that, let's say I go a day or 3 days or 4 days without a bagel. Oh my goodness, I haven't had a bagel in 3 days. I mean, that's not my situation, it's been longer than that, but I'm just pointing out. Celebrate that. You are worth celebrating. You are making progress. It's like me trying to play that little measure of clarinet music. I made it, oh, I stumbled. But, oh my God, I've got 90% of this measure down. I just keep messing up those last 2 notes. Or I got the notes down, but I keep forgetting to get louder like the music says. You're getting closer and closer every time. Celebrate that, because this isn't always easy. It is hard, and if it's really hard for you, then it's a huge positive, celebratory thing if you go a day or 3 days or a week without X, starch, sugar, fruit, beans, whatever. Okay, it's 26 minutes, and I swear one day I'm going to start making shorter videos, but that's it for now. Stallslayer.com. My video's blurry now. Hello, video. Unblur. Let's wait for the video to unblur. There we go. Stallslayer.com, or you can find it on Amazon. And Your Carb Confusion, we have that placeholder page on Amazon. And that's it. 2itnutrition.com is my website. See you next time. Thanks for watching.